The Maple Leafs suffer their first loss of the season as the defense continues to be an issue. Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Leafs. Rob Wong joined alongside by Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan of the Toronto Sun. And guys, the Leafs 2-1 after their first 3 games of the year. There's been some not so great moments, but we have to start with the biggest positive so far, and that has to be the play of one Auston Matthews. 6 goals in his first 3 games. Probably could have had a few more against Chicago if not for some strong goaltending and an offside replay review as well. Well, Lance, we'll start with you. I know he's won a Hart Trophy before, but is it possible that this is the best version of Auston Matthews we've seen?
Well, it's a pity that Auston can't play 60 minutes because he's one of their best defensive players too. Getting back to your first point, but you know what? You sense some years that a guy's on a mission. You saw it, over the time with Sundin, with Gilmore. This guy is really taking his game up a notch. You can tell by the way he's shooting, his demeanor on the ice. He loves the fact he's playing extra on the PK, and that's exactly what his foil Connor McDavid is doing. So he is making the most of all that, and the shot is lethal. He's not having any off-season surgery concerns or anything like that. He's really seizing the moment right now.
Yeah, I think he's at his best. I mean, no, he doesn't score against Chicago, but he had 18 shot attempts, which is kind of ridiculous, including 8 shots on goal. So he's doing everything right. We saw what he did in the first 2 games. The fifth player in NHL history to open the season with 2 hat tricks. So, yeah, there's a little way to go to get to that 60 goals mark that he had 2 years ago, of course, and winning the Hart Trophy and all that. But like Lance says, the complete game is there, and now we just sit back and kind of watch what he does this year. If he's going to be playing at this level, 60 goals is attainable. I think for sure. Stays healthy. He is healthy now, but you have to love the start that he's had, and yeah, I think even when he had the 60 goal season, he didn't get off to a good start goal scoring wise. It took him a bit to get off to get going there. So he's well ahead of that pace. Can he keep it up? We'll have to see. 6 goals in 3 games is a lot, of course, but I think he's going to take a good run at 60, and certainly 50 should be done.
I quick add to that is I think he's yet to bring the rest of his line mates up with him. Marner's off to a little bit of a slow start by comparison, and of course they're trying to work Tyler Bertuzzi in there too. So it'll be interesting to see when they get going how much more dangerous Auston could be.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, we go from the good to the not so good, Terry. The defense has definitely had its moments so far this season, whether it's flubs on passes or breakdowns defensively. I know it's just 3 games, but how concerned are you about the Leafs' play on their own end?
Well, this was a concern coming in, right? The feeling was that, yes, Brad Treliving added John Klingberg, which would help offensively from the blue line, but there still wasn't that help that they needed, maybe not defensively, but more snarl like he had it up front. Overall, it is a concern. I know it's only 3 games and this sort of thing, and as Auston Matthews scores 2 hat tricks, so it covers things up in the first 2 games, but there was enough time to get this going on the blue line for sure. You're only adding 1 guy in Klingberg, and McCabe. Still waiting for him to play his best as a Leaf, and I don't think that's really happened yet. But maybe you look at it and say, okay, well, there are a lot of new forwards who come in. There just isn't the cohesion yet with the defensive group. But the fact of the matter is, the Leafs had 8 preseason games. Sheldon Keefe and the staff chose to sit the vets in the majority of them. And, maybe they should have played a bit more just to get used to a little more accustomed to each other. But they're all professionals. They're NHL players. The guys they brought in are veterans. There should be concern that it hasn't clicked yet. And, now you're going on a 5-game trip. I mean, no trip is easy, but certainly when you're going into the Lions Den in Florida with both spots and the playoff history there with both teams, it's going to be a challenge to start. But, I think there should be concern. 13 goals in 3 games, anyway you slice it, is not good.
Well, looking it up, Terry, just before we came on the air here, that's the most goals they've allowed in the first 3 games since 2018. So definitely a concern going back to the Babcock years. And just, and it's not like you say, they're only working 1 guy. And I'm curious to know, I mean, we're not allowed to go in and see the summer skates anymore, but those guys were there for a few weeks, including some of the defensemen, and at one point the Leafs are complaining, if you remember that, they were looking for things to do at camp, trying to fill in the time. And you've got to wonder if they didn't maybe maximize it to the best of their ability. But McCabe off to a bit of a slow start. I mean, there's some personal issues with TJ Brody that sort of affected his his camp and his timing and all that kind of thing. And now you got to wonder, we're going to see Simon Benoit at some point on this road trip, work him in a little bit. I know he's been working diligently with the assistant coaches after practice. I think his time is near.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, he's the only guy, the only extra they're carrying right now, and the Leafs in this financial cap hell, like so many teams are. They're just going to 12. So you think Benoit is going to get in? He's doing the pregame warm up and everything. One thing I'll say with the Leafs defense though is, again, getting back to the point that it wasn't upgraded during the summer. This could be what it is, and maybe it has nothing to do with gelling and all this sort of thing. Maybe this is what the Leafs defense is, and everybody's a year older. And I guess specifically I talk about Mark Giordano as compared to what it was last year. So I don't know. It's a work in progress, as Treliving like to say during the summer. And as I think I've written a few times now, the good thing is there's a lot of time for him to improve it, but he's certainly going to have to do that before the March trade deadline.
Finally, the last line of defense is always a topic of conversation in this city. Lance, both goalies haven't exactly blown the doors off yet. How do you think the rotation continues to evolve moving forward here?
Well, Samsonov will tell you in his own unique Russian way about how bad his some of the goals have been against him. But he's not worried. I know there was some concern earlier. I mean, the durability of Samsonov is a big question. And last year there was the injury, and could he take a full-time role? So that sort of carries into this season. He hadn't stood on his head by any means. I guess the big thing is everyone assumed there was going to be a great plan B in Joseph Wall. We've only seen him once based on last year. Certainly, that's going to be he's going to be a big part of the team going forward. It'd be interesting to see who they decide to start in Florida. Probably go back to Samsonov, I guess. But had Wall played really well last night, he played as good as he could have. I guess maybe you'd consider him for that. But I guess at the back of the back of it all is Martin Jones, a good insurance policy. A lot of people think we'll see him sooner than later. Certainly, if these early struggles continue.
The one good thing about the Leafs now and the schedule is I don't think they play a back-to-back until November 10th, 11th, or 11th, 12th, whatever it is, Hall of Fame weekend. Those games are both at home, so there's a lot. It's a good schedule for the goaltending, and you can Sheldon Keefe can space these starts out, if you will. I'm probably with Lancer. I think Samsonov gets back in a Thursday, but no matter how he does, I think you should put Wall in Tampa Bay on Saturday night, and then reevaluate, if you will, on the off day Sunday, and when you're going into Washington on Tuesday to face Alex Ovechkin and former Leafs assistant Spencer Carberry. So it's the goalies have been like the team to a whole, other than Auston Matthews and probably Willie Nylander. It's been bumpy so far, and I thought Wall I thought started out well last night. Obviously, it didn't finish well, allowing 3 goals, but he'll get the time that he needs to get to to get these starts, and I think there should be confidence in him. And again, like Lance kind of alluded to, with Samsonov, the durability issue we saw last year, it was not great, but when he did play, how good he was. So it's got a good insurance plan down in the farm. We'll see when Martin Jones gets an opportunity at some point, but I would think that Sheldon Keefe right now is looking at it saying, okay, we have a 5-game trip. Let's work it out not only with the team defense, but also with the goaltending, and go from there.
Yeah, plenty to clean up for the Maple Leafs. We'll see how they fare on this lengthy road trip. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Lance Hornby and Terry Koshan, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.